Chapter 289. Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling headed south on their mounts. In the beginning, Dongfang Bingling carried Yang Dingtian and flew a few hundred li using mystical energy. When they arrived at a demi-human gathering place, the two of them got two mounts and flew south. Yang Dingtian was still wearing his priest robe and gave Dongfang Bingling a white female priest robe. In the Dongli grasslands, it would be troublesome to walk around with a human face. Dongfang Bingling, Qin Huayu colluded with evil ways to set a trap to kill you. What are you going to do when you go back? Yang Dingtian asked. Pretend that nothing happened. Dongfang Bingling said. This answer made Yang Dingtian slightly surprised. Dongfang Bingling was so proud that she could not tolerate sand in her eyes. This time, Qin Huayu set such a big trap to kill her, the future leader of the Tiando League. This was a huge sin. Dongfang Bingling actually said that she would pretend that nothing happened. This was too shocking. Moreover, Dongfang Bingling did not have the ability to punish the northwest Qin city. Although Qin Wanchou had great power, Dongfang Bingling's position in the Tiando League was still very high. It was even higher than Qin Wanchou's. Although she was not the Yin-Yang school's leader yet, almost everyone in the world thought of her as the leader of the Yin-Yang school. At this time, the only person in the Tiando League who could keep Dongfang Bingling in check was Zhu Qingzhu. However, Zhu Qingzhu always had a bigger plan for Dongfang Bingling, so he always supported Dongfang Bingling in the Tiando League. At this time, Dongfang Bingling's position in the Tiando League was one of the best. Some time ago, when Dongfang Bingling set foot in the northwest continent, Qin Wanchou personally went to the seaside to welcome her. Moreover, he welcomed her as a subordinate. As for Qin Huayu, in front of Dongfang Bingling, his attitude was even lower. He was completely humble. Who would have thought that this father and son pair would set such a monstrous trap to kill Dongfang Bingling? However, such a powerful person like Dongfang Bingling actually said that she would pretend that nothing happened. I am not Qin Wanchou's opponent now, but in a few years, Qin Wanchou will not be my opponent. When that time comes, I will go and kill the entire northwest Qin family. There is no need to fight, said Dongfang Bingling calmly. She said. These words were truly domineering, and Yang Dingtian couldn't help but admire them. What about Yang Dingtian? How are you going to deal with him? Yang Dingtian could not help but ask. When he asked this, Dongfang Bingling turned around and stared at Yang Dingtian's face. Okay, pretend I didn't ask. Yang Dingtian said. Him. Wait until he wins the Cloud Heaven City Lord's Grand Martial competition. No matter how secretive the matter was, he could tell her without worry. She was even more open than most men. Of course, Yang Dingtian didn't forget about his hatred towards her. Yang Dingtian must take revenge for the hatred that day, especially for Shimen Wuya's death. But this didn't stop Yang Dingtian from appreciating and admiring her. Because sometimes, the person you admire the most is your enemy. Now, Dongfang Bingling's deepest thorn in Yang Dingtian's heart was Shimen Wuya. Yang Dingtian owed Shimen Wuya a lot. Although he died in the hands of Zhu Qingzhu, Dongfang Bingling also had to bear a huge responsibility. Yang Dingtian was chased and humiliated by her that day. That was because he didn't know enough and brought shame to himself. But Dongfang Bingling couldn't forgive Shimen Wuya. Dongfang Bingling, let me ask you something, Yang Dingtian said. What is it? Dongfang Bingling said. That day, because you led people to chase Yang Dingtian, you caused Shimen Wuya's death. Do you regret it? Yang Dingtian said, do you know that if Shimen Wuya hadn't died in advance, he would have been number 1 in the world in at most 10 years? Dongfang Bingling fell into silence. After a long time, she said, I don't care about anyone in the world. Shimen Wuya is an exception. No matter whether it is his willpower, breadth of mind, or even his methods, he is above my father. At this point, Yang Dingtian finally heard Dongfang Bingling soften a little. But then, Dongfang Bingling said, but no one can stop me from doing what I want to do. Shimen Wuya is no exception. And I haven't seen through this matter clearly. Anyway, it's not that simple. What do you mean? Yang Dingtian asked. In short, I, Dongfang Bingling, will never regret anything I do. I can die, but I will never regret giving in, Dongfang Bingling said firmly. Then, the two of them fell silent. Because Yang Dingtian was very unhappy with Dongfang Bingling's last words. Dongfang Bingling didn't care about Yang Dingtian's unhappiness at all. Also, if Yang Dingtian didn't speak, she would never take the initiative to talk to Yang Dingtian. Just like that, on the last day, the two of them were completely silent and hurried on. On the seventh day, Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling arrived at the Foxman race's territory. He and Dongfang Bingling were preparing to leave the Dongli grassland and return to the human continent. However, the Foxman race's leader, Day by Day Bella, had instructed that regardless of whether Yang Dingtian woke Dongfang Bingling up or not, they were to make a trip to the Foxman race when they returned to the human continent. Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling wore priest robes and directly entered the Foxman race's Bella city gate. They were going directly to Day by Day Bella's castle. He didn't plan to stay and was about to leave after saying goodbye. However, just as he entered the city gate, a group of Foxman race cavalry came up to him and said, "Excuse me, are you Great Master Na Lu?" "I am," Yang Dingtian said. "Greetings, Great Master Na Lu." The cavalry leader immediately knelt down. After getting up, he took out a crystal and crushed it. Boom! Immediately, a red light shot up several hundred meters into the sky like fireworks. Yang Dingtian was stunned and said, "What is the meaning of this?" "This is the Patriarch's order. As soon as you appear, we will immediately notify him at the fastest speed." The cavalry leader said. "What happened?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Princess Yang Xiang is missing." The cavalry leader said. "Xiang Xiang is missing?" Yang Dingtian was immediately shocked. He immediately increased his speed and rushed towards Day by Day Bella's castle. The cavalry behind him quickly caught up with him. Yang Dingtian ran at lightning speed. However, when he was still several kilometers away from the Patriarch's castle, he saw the Foxman race's leader, Day by Day Bella. At this moment, Day by Day Bella had completely recovered her heroic appearance. However, her expression was filled with anxiety and worry. She was intelligent and upright and didn't know how to conceal her emotions. Behind her were more than 10 Foxman race experts. After seeing Yang Dingtian, Day by Day Bella's first sentence was, "Mr. Na Lu, turn your horse around and leave immediately." Yang Dingtian was stunned. He quickly changed his direction and said, "Patriarch, have you found Xiang Xiang's whereabouts? We will go and rescue her now." "No, we are not going to rescue Xiang Xiang. Leave immediately. Leave the Dongli grassland immediately." Day by Day Bella said, "We will escort you away." Then, Day by Day Bella saw Dongfang Bingling who was beside Yang Dingtian. Knowing that Yang Dingtian had indeed saved her, she immediately nodded at Dongfang Bingling to greet her. Dongfang Bingling also nodded her head in greeting. When he heard that Day by Day Bella wasn't going to rescue Xiang Xiang, but asking him, Yang Dingtian, to leave immediately and even personally bringing so many experts to escort him away, Yang Dingtian was stunned. Yang Dingtian couldn't help but ask, "Patriarch, why are you not going to rescue Xiang Xiang but asking me to leave immediately?" Day by Day Bella said, "They captured Xiang Xiang for you. They want to kill you and the lady beside you." Then, Day by Day Bella handed over a letter. It was a letter sent by High Priest Gulu. It wrote, "Senior brother Miju, I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you." That day, Mr. said that he wanted to go to my humble home by the Sun and Moon Lake for a chat. Yin Tiancheng looked up every day, waiting for Yuji's arrival. Who knew that after waiting for a long time, he still didn't see senior brother's face? His longing gradually grew stronger. Coincidentally, Princess Yang Xiang came to my humble home as a guest. Therefore, I boldly invited senior brother to come as a guest, especially the unconscious beauty beside you. Perhaps, Yin Tianchong has a way to rescue her. Yin Tianchong will definitely welcome you. After a few days, Yin Tianchong will definitely send senior brother and Princess Yang Xiang off respectfully. The words in the letter were very polite, but the meaning was very obvious. That was, Yin Tianchong captured Princess Yang Xiang and asked Yang Dingtian to bring Dongfang Bingling to exchange for Xiang Xiang. After seeing Yang Dingtian finish reading the letter, day by day Bella said, obviously, Yin Tianchong and the rest have already recognized you and Miss Dongfang's identity. Furthermore, they know that Miss Dongfang is unconscious and must kill her. Therefore, they captured Xiang Xiang to threaten her. Furthermore, they will definitely not let you go and will do their best to kill the two of you. Their influence in the Dongli grassland isn't small, and the situation is very urgent. Hurry up and leave. We will send you off. No, what about Xiang Xiang? Yang Dingtian said, I will go to the Sun and Moon Lake with you to rescue Xiang Xiang. No, you will be walking into a trap. Day by day Bella said, Yin Tianchong is a master-level expert and his cultivation is stronger than mine. Furthermore, Dugu Fengwu, Qin Huayu, and the rest might be there too. There might even be other experts from the sacred cult. If you go, you will definitely not be able to return. Dugu Fengwu is there too. Qin Huayu is there too. Dongfang Bingling continued. It should be, day by day Bella said, evil ways have already been set up in the Dongli grassland. Dongfang Bingling's eyes turned cold as she said, I was prepared to pretend that nothing had happened, but they are still in the Dongli grassland. Let's go to the Sun and Moon Lake. Let's kill Qin Huayu and Dugu Fengwu. After finishing her words, Dongfang Bingling took the lead and rushed towards the south. Day by day Bella quickly caught up and said to Yang Dingtian, Mr. Shen, you can't go. Yang Dingtian said, you can go. Dongfang Bingling is also a master-level expert. I don't believe that two master-level experts can't take down the Sun and Moon Lake. Qin Huayu and Dugu Fengwu haven't left yet. That's great. Let's settle the old and new scores together. After hearing Yang Dingtian's words, day by day Bella looked at Dongfang Bingling's back view with astonishment and said, how old is she? She is actually a master-level expert. 21 years old. Yang Dingtian smiled bitterly. Day by day Bella was astonished. A 21-year-old master-level expert was really unprecedented. It might even be impossible in the future. At the very least, Yang Dingtian wouldn't be able to break this record. It will be too difficult for you to defeat her in the martial arts competition 3.5 years later, day by day Bella said. Yes, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Yang Dingtian said, but even if it is harder than ascending to the heavens, I will still try. Day by day Bella said, you are like enemies, and she is actually traveling with you? Yang Dingtian said, she doesn't know that I am Yang Dingtian, or she doesn't care who I am at all. Just like that, Dongfang Bingling took the lead and Yang Dingtian's group flew towards the Sun and Moon Lake that was a few hundred miles away. Demonis Dugu, Qin Huayu. I will meet you now and settle the score. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and she almost burst into tears. However, she quickly suppressed her emotions and bowed to Yang Dingtian from afar. Greetings, Grandmaster Na Lu. Greetings, Father. Her current identity was that of a hostage. Ever since she was kidnapped, she had been living in fear. Now that Yang Dingtian and day by day Bella had come to rescue her, of course she was excited. But in order not to worry them, she suppressed her emotions. Not only did she not address Yang Dingtian directly, she didn't address him as Shen Lang either. Instead, she addressed him as Grandmaster Na Lu. This was the fake identity that Yang Dingtian used to rescue day by day Bella from the Foxman race. Xiang Xiang was indeed the princess of the Foxman race. She was extremely intelligent. Even at this moment, she was still quick-witted. When Yin Tianchong saw Dongfang Bingling riding on the horse, his expression changed slightly. Then, he smiled and said, "It's really fortunate to see that young lady Dongfang is safe and sound." Dongfang Bingling said coldly, "Martial Uncle Yin, I trust you have been well since we last met." Yang Dingtian said, "Senior brother Yin, you have missed young lady Dongfang and me very much. Now that both of us are here, can you please release young lady Dongfang? Now that we are here, can you release Princess Xiang Xiang?" Of course, of course. Yin Tianchong said, "Although I cherish Princess Xiang Xiang's talent and spirit, since Patriarch Juri has come personally, I can't force you to stay." Subsequently, Yin Tianchong looked at Day by Day Bella and said, "Patriarch, you can leave with your daughter now." Day by Day Bella bowed and said, "Many thanks. May I know if Grandmaster Gulu has any other conditions?" "Conditions? Of course, I don't have any other conditions." Yin Tianchong said, "I just like Princess Xiang Xiang's spirit and talent. Therefore, I invited her to be my guest for a few days and give her some pointers on her zither skills. Now that you miss your daughter dearly, I can't be the bad guy anymore. Therefore, you can leave with your daughter now." Day by Day Bella immediately asked, "What about Grandmaster Na Lu?" Yin Tianchong said, "Senior brother Miju and martial niece Dongfang are both outstanding talents of Middle-earth. I have left Middle-earth for many years. Now that people from my homeland have come, of course I am excited and happy. Of course, I have to keep the two of them as my guests for a few days. If Patriarch has nothing else to do, you can do as you please. I have a lot of things to talk about with the two of them." Yin Tianchong's words were very clear. He only wanted to keep Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling. If Day by Day Bella wanted to save Princess Xiang Xiang alive, she shouldn't interfere with the matters between him and Yang Dingtian. "I'm afraid I can't." Day by Day Bella said, "Young Lady Dongfang and Grandmaster Na Lu are my clan's honored guests. I haven't received them properly yet. Why don't we wait for the two of them to stay in my clan for a few days before they come back to be your guests?" Until now, the two of them had been speaking with empty courtesy. It sounded as if two groups of enthusiastic hosts were fighting to invite Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling to be their guests. After hearing Day by Day Bella's words, Yin Tianchong's expression immediately changed. He said coldly, "Esteemed Patriarch, this is a matter between the humans of Middle-earth. If you want to forcefully interfere, you will have to bear the consequences." Day by Day Bella's expression turned cold as she said, "But don't forget that this is the land of my half-human race." Yin Tianchong's gaze turned and looked at Dongfang Bingling. After a moment of silence, he said, "Young Lady Dongfang, since you don't want to be my guest, I won't force you to stay. However, senior brother Miju promised me that he would stay for a few days." What he meant was that he could let go of Dongfang Bingling and Xiang Xiang and only kill Yang Dingtian. Of course, Yin Tianchong wouldn't let go of Dongfang Bingling. Their main target was Dongfang Bingling. What he said was just to sow discord and probe. After hearing Yin Tianchong's condition, Yang Dingtian's eyes immediately shrunk. He immediately looked at Dongfang Bingling. "Shut up, you scum," Dongfang Bingling said coldly. "Yin Tianchong, if you want to fight, then fight. Don't talk nonsense." Yin Tianchong's expression changed as he said, "I have always heard that Fairy Dongfang is extremely arrogant. Seeing it today, it is indeed so. I will teach you a good lesson on behalf of your elders. With your peerless beauty, you will be perfect to be my holy sex peerless doll." After these words were spoken, Yin Tianchong's expression suddenly changed. He immediately changed from an immortal-like demeanor to incomparably evil and lustful. "Kill!" Yin Tianchong suddenly shouted. "Ga!" Suddenly, an ear-piercing screech sounded in the sky. Suddenly, hundreds of black figures flew out from the surrounding mountaintops. They were holding sharp weapons and swooped down toward Yang Dingtian's group. Eagleman race. hundreds of experts of the Eagleman tribe suddenly rushed over. This Eagleman race was famous for being wicked and vicious. They had the face of a human, the body of an eagle, but also the legs of a human. In terms of combat standards, the Eagleman race was extremely valiant. However, this race was cruel and bloodthirsty, but they were never united. Therefore, they were never able to gather into a huge force. As an entire tribe, they didn't have any advantage when they were fighting against the Foxman race. However, in terms of individual strength, the Eagleman race was extremely powerful. No one would have thought that this ferocious Eagleman race would actually become Yin Tianchong's servant. Just as everyone was preparing to fight, a few black figures suddenly shot out from the wooden house. There were 3 men and 1 woman. Their entire body was enveloped in black robes, and they were even wearing masks on their faces. Yang Dingtian immediately recognized that these 3 men and 1 woman were Yan Biaqin, Qin Huayu, Gudu Wuhuan, and Dugu Fengwu. These 4 people didn't leave as expected. Furthermore, Yang Dingtian didn't expect that Yan Biaqin would actually be entangled with Qin Huayu again. Logically speaking, after he snatched the Mirage Mystic Flame, he should have completely offended Dugu Fengwu. However, these 4 people were truly interesting. They were obviously identifiable with a single glance, but they still wore masks to conceal themselves. Day by day Bella yelled out, "Foxman race, listen up. You shall engage the Eagleman race's experts." Yes. 30 Foxman race experts yelled out in unison. These 30 Foxman race experts might not be comparable to the Eagleman race in terms of numbers, but their cultivations were all very high. 1/3 of them were at the martial ancestor realm and above. The remaining ones were all high-grade martial mystic experts. This faction was almost half of Day by Day Bella's experts. They were here to escort Yang Dingtian out of the Dongli grassland. Swish 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 swish. These 30 Foxman race experts turned into streams of light and rushed towards the Eagleman race in the sky. In an instant, there were saber lights and sword shadows in the sky. There were cries of blood as they engaged in a battle. Yin Tianchong suddenly drew out a blood-black gold sword and said slowly, "The 4 of you shall kill Day by Day Bella. After I capture Dongfang Bingling alive, I will assist you." Yes. In an instant, Qin Huayu, Yan Biaqin, Dugu Fengwu, and Gudu Wuhuan soared into the sky and turned into 4 streams of rapid light as they rushed towards Day by Day Bella. Yin Tianchong floated into the sky like a cloud and flew towards Dongfang Bingling. He laughed heartily and said, "Fairy Dongfang, the world's #1 beauty. It is best to give you to the young lord as a puppet. After you become a puppet, you will be like a celestial being every day." From his words, Yin Tianchong didn't put Dongfang Bingling in his eyes at all. It was true that this Dongfang Bingling was the #1 prodigy in the past 400 years, but she was only a martial supreme. As for Yin Tianchong, he was already a master-class expert over a decade ago. The reason why he personally dealt with Dongfang Bingling was because he wanted to capture her alive without suffering any losses. From his words, it seemed like the person behind him fancied Dongfang Bingling's exceptional beauty. Subsequently, Yang Dingtian awkwardly realized that he didn't have any opponents. When arranging the battle, Yin Tianchong seemed to have forgotten about himself. As expected, they recognized Yang Dingtian's identity, which was why they didn't put him in their eyes and didn't arrange any opponents for him. That's right, Yang Dingtian was very important in their eyes, but that was only because of his innate talent and identity. His cultivation wasn't even worth mentioning in the eyes of Qin Huayu and Yin Tianchong. As long as they killed Day by Day Bella and Dongfang Bingling, anyone would be able to kill Yang Dingtian 100 times with a single breath. Furthermore, Yin Tianchong was drooling over Yang Dingtian's treasures that could bring the dead back to life. If Yin Tianchong arranged an opponent for him, it wouldn't be good if Yin Tianchong killed him because of excessive force. Of course, Yang Dingtian had previously killed Lei Ming in an unfathomable manner. However, after knowing that he was Yang Dingtian, they attributed it to the invulnerable deep sea Xian clothes and the mysterious medicine. One had to know that Yang Dingtian had never fought with Lei Ming face to face, right? As for Lei Ming's sudden self-immolation, it was even more proof that Yang Dingtian had planted some kind of fire attribute intense poison in his body. Otherwise, even a master stage expert like Yin Tianchong wouldn't be able to let Lei Ming burn to death silently. Seeing the three waves of opponents fighting together, Yang Dingtian was completely idle. On the island in the middle of the lake, two Eagleman race experts were guarding Princess Xiang. Yang Dingtian suddenly pulled out his youngling sword and rushed towards the island in the middle of the lake to save Xiang. Seeing Yang Dingtian rushing towards the island in the middle of the lake, no one actually stopped him. Yin Tianchong only glanced at him from the corner of his eyes and ignored him because the two Eagleman race experts guarding Princess Xiang were martial ancestor stage experts. Seeing Yang Dingtian rushing over, Princess Xiang cried out in alarm and even forgot to call Master Na Lu, "Brother Shen, don't come over." Among the Eagleman race experts behind her, one continued to grab Xiang while the other laughed disdainfully. Holding a long spear, he suddenly flew into the sky to face Yang Dingtian. "Human, I heard that your body is very nourishing. How about you let me eat your flesh?" The Eagleman who was going to face Yang Dingtian was a woman. She had a human face that could be considered flirtatious, but it was also very sinister and disgusting. Yang Dingtian's expression immediately turned cold. Holding his youngling sword, he suddenly slashed down. "Ha, a human trash who only knows how to use medicine actually dares to draw his sword at me." The Eagleman race woman laughed shrilly and stabbed the long spear in her hand towards Yang Dingtian's lower abdomen. "Die!" Yang Dingtian shouted, and the sharp sword in his hand suddenly shot out a 5-zhang sword beam. Dugu Fengwu's beautiful eyes shot out a demonic radiance, and her beautiful face flushed red. She didn't know why she was so angry. Yang Dingtian saw a red mist rising from her body. Her eyes were getting more and more demonic and horrifying. Earlier, she didn't use the evil way's evil art, blood devil mad dance, to kill day by day Bella. Now, her cultivation was obviously much higher than Yang Dingtian's, but she actually used such an evil art. It was obvious how furious she was. While using the evil art, she looked at Dongfang Bingling from afar and sneered, "Your Dongfang Bingling is going to be finished soon." Yes, she broke through to the master realm, but that old thief Yin Tianchong is indeed a 5th grade master. She can't hold on any longer, and I believe she will soon fall into the clutches of that old thief. "Don't worry, I won't kill you before she is completely finished. I will let you see her begging for death with your own eyes. She will turn into a beautiful walking corpse for those devils to enjoy." Yang Dingtian couldn't help but look at Dongfang Bingling's battle. As expected, Dongfang Bingling was at an absolute disadvantage. Just like what Dugu Fengwu said, she might have broken through to the master realm at the age of 21, which was completely shocking. If it wasn't for Yang Dingtian, she might be able to become the world's #1 expert in about 10 years. But now, she was only 21 years old. Yin Tianchong was already over 70 years old, and he was already a master realm expert more than 10 years ago. Now, he was a 5th grade master, and he had many evil ways evil arts. After a stalemate with him for 15 minutes, Dongfang Bingling was at a disadvantage. Furthermore, the situation was getting worse. At this moment, she and Yin Tianchong were already fighting at a height of 1,000 meters. A blue sword light was dancing in the sky like lightning. A gray sword light was like a devil's tentacle, tearing apart every inch of the sky. The grass, trees, water, and stones on the ground were all shattered and trembling. Yin Tianchong, who originally had a grave expression, had an evil smile on his face again. His vulgar eyes were constantly scanning Dongfang Bingling's body from head to toe as he clicked his tongue. "Virtuous niece Dongfang, I will carefully play with every inch of your body. Even if I play with you for 1 or 2 years, I won't get tired of it. SSS." After Yin Tianchong's evil smile, the gray specter scraped past Dongfang Bingling's shoulder. In an instant, the clothes on her shoulder were turned into ashes. An eye-catching wound of blood appeared on her snow-white shoulder. It was a few inches long and went all the way to her chest. Of course, the important parts were still covered by her clothes. But Yin Tiancheng's eyes were almost spewing out flames. Dongfang Bingling's delicate body trembled in the sky, and she vomited a mouthful of blood. All right. Dugu Fengwu slashed again with lightning speed. Yang Dingtian used all his strength to block again. However, be it in terms of speed or mystic qi, the difference was too great. He still wasn't able to block it. His left arm that was holding the sword was pierced again. Right now, both of Yang Dingtian's arms were pierced. Yang Dingtian, beg for mercy. Dugu Fengwu sneered and said, perhaps, I will be merciful. You can continue. Yang Dingtian didn't care at all. He switched the large sword to his right hand again. Did you notice? What you are suffering now, Dongfang Bingling is also suffering. The two of you are really going through thick and thin together. Dugu Fengwu said, I pierced both of your arms. Dongfang Bingling's arms were also pierced by that old bastard's sword qi. Yang Dingtian lifted his head and saw that it was indeed the case. Dongfang Bingling's arms were also pierced by the terrifying sword qi. However, it wasn't as bloody as Yang Dingtian's. There were only 2 terrifying red scars on her snow-white arms. In fact, her injuries were even more severe than Yang Dingtian's. At the very least, Dongfang Bingling's sword moves were no longer as smooth as before. Right now, Yang Dingtian's side had fallen into a complete disadvantage and was in imminent danger. More than half of the 30 Foxman race experts had already fallen. There were less than 10 of them who were still fighting. Furthermore, all of them were drenched in blood and riddled with injuries. There were still around 40 of those vicious and malevolent Eagleman race experts who were surrounding the Foxman race experts for the final battle. As for Day by Day Bella's side, even though Dugu Fengwu wasn't there anymore, Dugu Fengwu and Hui Yuhao were still fighting. However, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan had both used their evil arts. Furthermore, Yan Biaqin's current cultivation was almost on par with Dugu Fengwu. Therefore, Day by Day Bella was still in a disadvantageous position. As for Dongfang Bingling, she was in the most dangerous situation and could be in imminent danger at any moment. As for Yang Dingtian's side, they were in a passive situation where they were getting killed. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's side had entered the most dangerous situation and could be wiped out at any moment. Next, that lecherous old bastard is going to stab Dongfang Bingling's thigh. Dugu Fengwu said, therefore, I am going to stab your thigh too. Swish. Immediately after, the demon woman turned into a strange stream of light and stabbed over with lightning speed. Yang Dingtian raised his sword to block. However, his arm was injured and was completely unable to block. Dugu Fengwu's sharp sword suddenly pierced into his thigh. At the same time, Dongfang Bingling's thigh was pierced through by that old bastard Yin Tiancheng's sword qi. Indeed, whatever happened to Dongfang Bingling, Yang Dingtian would be in the same situation. Next, it's the other thigh. Dugu Fengwu said. Subsequently, her sword moved with lightning speed and pierced through Yang Dingtian's other thigh. The other thigh of Dongfang Bingling in the air was pierced through by that old bastard Yin Tiancheng's sword qi. At this moment, Dongfang Bingling's 4 limbs were severely injured and was on the verge of collapse. Yin Tiancheng stared at Dongfang Bingling with lewd eyes and said, virtuous niece Dongfang, the next move is the final sword, which is also the most crucial one. The target is your qi vessel. Of course, everyone knows that the qi vessel is at the abdomen. I will pierce through it. If the qi vessel was pierced, then Dongfang Bingling would be completely destroyed. Dugu Fengwu looked at Yang Dingtian and said, my sword is also the final one, and the target is also your qi vessel. I don't know if your deep-sea mystic clothes are protecting your qi vessel. Finishing her statement, Dugu Fengwu's sword moved with lightning speed and pierced towards Yang Dingtian's qi vessel. Instantly, Yang Dingtian's abdomen felt an intense pain. His chi vessel seemed to be turned upside down as it was surging crazily. However, Dongfang Bingling's sword was still blocked by the deep-sea mystic clothes. Let's perish together, Dugu Fengwu. Yang Dingtian's eyes were completely red, and they were blood red. Boom! A bundle of flames suddenly ignited from his body. Yang Dingtian had completely ignited the mystic flame in his chi vessel, igniting all the mystic chi in his body. His entire body, including the sharp sword in his hand, had turned into raging flames. The energy of the mystic flame had enveloped his entire body. Dugu Fengwu's sword wasn't able to pierce through Yang Dingtian's chi vessel. Her delicate body retreated dozens of meters with lightning speed. She looked at the completely burning Yang Dingtian and said, trying to be mysterious. In front of absolute strength, any tricks are useless. Even so, I have to make a final gamble. Yang Dingtian said. Swish. Immediately after, Yang Dingtian's body suddenly spun and rushed towards Dugu Fengwu like a cannonball. His speed was incomparably fast, and his aura was extremely shocking. His entire body was like a giant flaming sword. Everywhere he passed by, everything was turned into charcoal. Dugu Fengwu stood still on the spot and stared coldly at Yang Dingtian. She didn't care too much. Huff. A bundle of blood-red fog appeared again and completely enveloped Dugu Fengwu's delicate body. This was the blood sacrifice light shield. It could defend against all attacks that were weaker than the user's energy. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's fatal attack wasn't even worth mentioning in her eyes. Yang Dingtian, I'll give you one last chance. Kneel down in front of me. Dugu Fengwu said coldly. Dream on. Yang Dingtian yelled out. Yang Dingtian's giant sword suddenly pierced towards Dugu Fengwu's chest. It was the blood sacrifice light shield that blocked him. Yang Dingtian's sword stabbed forward with extreme difficulty. That light shield was rapidly devouring the energy on Yang Dingtian's sword. In an instant, the flames on Yang Dingtian's body were getting smaller and smaller. Dugu Fengwu looked at the giant sword that was thrusting over and laughed with disdain. She swung her jade-like arm and was about to send Yang Dingtian flying. However, there was a sudden change in the situation. Her blood sacrifice light shield suddenly turned into ashes, and it was unknown what the reason was. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's sword pierced forward without any obstruction. After the light shield dispersed, Yang Dingtian saw Dugu Fengwu's soft breasts in front of him. He also saw her horrified and trembling expression, and her extremely complicated eyes. In an instant, Dugu Fengwu and Yang Dingtian's past were all vivid in his mind. Yang Dingtian learned the sword from her, and Yang Dingtian treated her injuries. There were beautiful scenes, speechless scenes, and joyous scenes. Finally, it was the most intimate contact between Dugu Fengwu and him. It was a completely negative scene. This woman had the most intimate relationship with Yang Dingtian and had a deep entanglement. Yang Dingtian had saved her life many times. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's sword aura slowed down. At this moment, Gudu Wuhuan had also noticed the situation and exclaimed, Shen Lang, stop. I will let you go, but don't kill her. When he looked at Dugu Fengwu again, her pale face was still stubborn and sharp. Finally, Yang Dingtian's mind appeared with the scene of Dugu Fengwu ruthlessly striking his chest after having sex with him, wanting to kill him. Yang Dingtian's eyes focused as he clenched his teeth. Dugu Fengwu, after you killed me previously, I swore that if I meet you again, I will not show any mercy. Finishing his statement, Yang Dingtian's giant sword thrust forward. PFFF. In her appalled eyes, Yang Dingtian's giant sword pierced through Dugu Fengwu's chest. Fresh blood spurted out and splattered on Yang Dingtian's face. At the same time, the hard ice abruptly turned into a ball of blue light and shadow and abruptly drilled into Yin Tiancheng's body through his palm. Ah! Yin Tiancheng let out a loud cry. Instantly, his body instantly turned into a terrifying blue color, and a layer of frost rapidly covered the surface of his body. This was a fatal cold poison, which was mixed with the cold poison from the million spirit Yin flame. Immediately, Yin Tiancheng hurriedly circulated all the fire attribute profound qi in his qi si and frantically expelled the cold poison from his body. At the same time, Dongfang Bingling floated in the air. Her beautiful eyes shot out dazzling rays of light, and her entire body blossomed with blue rays of light. At this moment, not only did Dongfang Bingling not seem to be injured, she felt even more powerful than before. Boom! Then, a blue flame suddenly burned out from her body. This was her profound flame. She used the profound flame to ignite all the profound qi in her body. At a glance, a ball of incomparably beautiful blue flame was burning in the air. When the flame burned to the extreme, Dongfang Bingling's delicate body suddenly bent. "Old thief, my cultivation is inferior to yours, but it's not as big as you imagined. I'm showing my weakness just to kill you. Now, your death has arrived," Dongfang Bingling said coldly. Boom! Dongfang Bingling's delicate body suddenly bounced, and the blue flame on her body suddenly burst out. It condensed into a palm-sized Yin flame in the air and shot toward Yin Tiancheng. Yin Tiancheng was shocked. He hurriedly stopped expelling the cold poison and frantically dodged. Boom! But when the Yin flame was still a dozen meters away from him, it suddenly exploded. Suddenly, a dazzling ray of light burst out in the air, like a miniature nuclear bomb exploding. Everything on the ground 1,000 meters below, whether it was boulders or people, were all turned into powder. The eagle men flying in the air were directly distorted and instantly turned into charcoal. Yin Tiancheng's body was completely engulfed by the flame and disappeared in an instant. After a full dozen seconds, the dazzling blue light gradually faded away. Yin Tiancheng was still alive, but he was in a very sorry state. The robe on his body had long been burned into charcoal, including his hair and beard. Everything had turned into nothingness. Yin Tiancheng, who originally had a sage-like demeanor, was now naked, dripping with blood, and riddled with scars. He was in a mess as he fell fiercely. However, he circulated his mystic qi and barely stopped his fall as he floated in the air. Dongfang Bingling saw the unbearably ugly Yin Tiancheng and sneered. She instantly turned into a blue meteor as she raised her sword and rushed towards him. "Miss Dongfang, don't kill me, don't kill me. Let's make a deal. I will use a 9th grade mystic skill to exchange for my life." Yin Tiancheng was horrified as he exclaimed. "Dream on, no one can save you. Even if you use the world, you won't be able to exchange for your life. You dare to humiliate me. Not only will I kill you, I will also kill your entire clan," Dongfang Bingling said coldly. Then, she suddenly rushed forward. Swish 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 swish. The sharp sword in Dongfang Bingling's hand danced wildly as it fiercely pierced Yin Tiancheng's body. Suddenly, a cloud of blood mist emerged along with Yin Tiancheng's horrified and miserable howl. Swish 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 swish, Dongfang Bingling struck with her sword like lightning. A moment later, Yin Tiancheng's miserable howl stopped. His entire body was directly chopped into dozens of pieces in the air. He died without a complete corpse. Instantly, the people on the ground were completely stupefied. Everything happened too quickly. Just a moment ago, Yin Tiancheng still had the upper hand, but Dongfang Bingling was already at her last breath. They didn't expect for the situation to suddenly turn around. In the blink of an eye, Yin Tiancheng was chopped into thousands of pieces. After killing Yin Tiancheng, Dongfang Bingling's beautiful eyes suddenly looked towards Qin Huayu and the others. Instantly, Qin Huayu was horrified. "Go!" After exchanging glances with Gudu Wuhuan, the two of them suddenly bit their tongues and spat out a cloud of blood mist. They turned into a cloud of blood-red light and quickly fled, leaving Yan Bieqin behind. Instantly, Yan Bieqin was fighting day by day Bella alone. His expression changed as he endured a palm strike from the other party and retreated dozens of meters, escaping from the battle. However, day by day Bella didn't take the opportunity to kill him. Instead, she glanced at him indifferently and quickly turned towards the group of eaglemen to save her own clansmen. At this moment, only 5 of the 30 Foxman race experts were left. Yang Dingtian also rushed towards those Foxman race experts. Ever since Dongfang Bingling killed Yin Tianchong, the battle situation had completely changed. He could now save those Foxman race experts without any worries. Yan Biqin looked at Dongfang Bingling with a complicated gaze. He then tore off the mask on his face and revealed his charming face. Fairy Dongfang, the true million spirit demon flame is still in your hands. Congratulations. Yan Biqin said, if you agree to a bet, you must accept your loss. Now, do as you wish. Dongfang Bingling looked at him and said coldly, at the central lake, you had already seized the mirage mystic flame from them and took advantage of them. Why do you want to get involved today? Yan Biqin smiled bitterly and said, because the other party offered a price that I couldn't reject. I am courting death. Make your move. After speaking, Yan Biqin closed his eyes and stretched his neck. Dongfang Bingling sneered and said, even though you are putting on an act, you didn't kill me at the central lake. Today, I will spare your life. Leave now. Day by day Bella and the others were getting further and further away until they could no longer be seen. Chapter 293. Dongfang Bingling flew over 100 miles with Yang Dingtian and found a hidden valley to descend. Just as she landed, she opened her small mouth and spat out a mouthful of blue blood. That's right, it was blue blood. Afterward, her delicate body staggered and almost couldn't stand straight. Yang Dingtian finally knew why she didn't chase after Qin Huayu and the others. It wasn't because she didn't want to, but because she couldn't. After killing Yin Tianchong, her mystic qi was completely gone. This was why she left immediately and didn't even have time to bid farewell. Shen Lang, time is tight. I will speak, and you will do. Dongfang Bingling said. All right. Yang Dingtian replied. The first thing is to quickly feed Dugu Fengwu a bit of holy water. Don't let her die, but she won't be able to recover quickly. Dongfang Bingling said while panting. Yang Dingtian placed Dugu Fengwu on the ground and helped Dongfang Bingling to sit down. Even though he didn't say anything, he looked at her with astonishment. Dongfang Bingling actually took the initiative to say that she wanted to save Dugu Fengwu. Didn't she always want to kill that demon woman? I want to kill Qin Huayu because he is a traitor. Dongfang Bingling said, if you weren't by my side, I would definitely be able to kill Dugu Fengwu. But because you are by my side, Dugu Fengwu must not die. You won't be able to withstand Dugu Zhao's torrential wrath. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, he will come and kill you. Yang Dingtian thought for a moment and took out a bit of holy water and fed it to Dugu Fengwu. Right now, Dugu Fengwu's entire chest was pierced. Even if her heart wasn't pierced, she was still bleeding profusely. If he didn't save her while she was unconscious, she would die soon. Right now, Yang Dingtian understood why Dugu Fengwu's blood mist light shield was ineffective when Yang Dingtian's large sword pierced over. That bad habit of hers was acting up again, and she suddenly became powerless. She had had this problem 2 or 3 times in the past, which made her very embarrassed. Previously, when she went to the central lake to obtain the mystic fire, Yang Dingtian thought that she had already recovered from this illness. Who would have thought that it would act up again just now? In an instant, it became weak and powerless, allowing Yang Dingtian to pierce through its chest. Otherwise, with Yang Dingtian's current cultivation, it was almost impossible for him to hurt her. She was at least a 5-star martial honorable. Once a martial artist reached the martial profound realm and above, there would be a qualitative difference. In the past, Yang Dingtian could even defeat opponents 1 level higher than him. Once one passes the martial profound realm, this situation becomes extremely difficult. As for martial ancestors and martial honorables, it was even more impossible. However, Yang Dingtian now possessed the mysterious flame, the yin-yang qi transformation technique, and the Youngling sword. If he were to face a mere beginner martial honor, he would not be afraid. However, Dugu Fengwu was at least a 5 or 6-star martial honorable, and the difference was too huge. After drinking a little bit of the sacred water, the originally pale and colorless Dugu Fengwu finally regained some color. The huge wound on her chest also started to stop bleeding and was gradually healing. However, she still did not wake up. Dongfang Bingling was still not at ease as she went forward and locked Dugu Fengwu's mystic meridians. Therefore, even if she suddenly woke up, she would not be able to harm anyone. The second matter is that Yin Tiancheng's cultivation is much higher than mine. Therefore, I pretended to be weak first, causing him to lose his guard and suffer from my Yin flame and cold poison. After that, I used the same evil art as Gudu Wuhuan to increase my mystic qi cultivation by several folds. Furthermore, I used the mystic flame to ignite the mystic qi in my entire body. Only then was I able to kill Yin Tiancheng, who was 4 stars higher than me. However, I also became extremely weak, which was why I immediately brought you and left. Dongfang Bingling said, otherwise, if Yan Biqin, Gudu Wuhuan, and Qin Huayu woke up and killed their way back, we would be in danger. Isn't there still day by day Bella? Yang Dingtian said, she is also a master. I will not place my hopes on others. Dongfang Bingling said, evil ways have obviously started to set up in the Dongli grassland. If we don't leave, their reinforcements will arrive very soon. This was for sure. Yin Tiancheng kept mentioning the sacred cult, the young lord, and wanted to refine Dongfang Bingling into an absolute beauty puppet for that young lord. Therefore, the other party's influence in the Dongli grassland was definitely not small. It was also because of this reason that Dongfang Bingling asked day by day Bella to immediately head to the celestial Red Sea. As long as Tantai gave the order, no one in the Dongli grassland would dare to make a move. Otherwise, the Foxman race would immediately be annihilated. For the next 10 days, I will not be able to use any mystic qi. Therefore, I will have to completely rely on your protection. Dongfang Bingling said, Qin Huayu and the others will immediately wake up and send out a large number of experts to chase after us. Therefore, we cannot stay here for a moment. We have to use the fastest speed to leave the Dongli grassland and take the ship back to the northwest continent. You know flying mystic skills and have the void spirit mystic wings. Don't be stingy with your mystic qi and use all your strength to fly. Don't let Qin Huayu and the others catch up to you. Bring along Dugu Fengwu. If necessary, you can use her as a hostage. All right. Yang Dingtian said. Dongfang Bingling went forward and leaned on Yang Dingtian's back. Her hands hugged onto Yang Dingtian's upper body as she slowly closed her beautiful eyes and started to recuperate. I can still give you some of my holy water. Yang Dingtian said. It is useless. I am not injured. I have overdrawn all my qi vessel and mystic meridians. Dongfang Bingling said, let's go quickly. Don't bother about me along the way. If Qin Huayu catches up to us, and Dugu Fengwu is useless as a hostage, you can hand me over. Impossible. Yang Dingtian said, I cannot bear such a huge humiliation. Immediately after, Yang Dingtian carried Dongfang Bingling on his back and carried the unconscious Dugu Fengwu in front. He suddenly flapped his mystic wings and flew into the sky. He circulated his flying mystic skills and flew towards the south. At this moment, he was about 4,000 miles away from the seaside. Yang Dingtian's void spirit mystic wings had a speed of about 200 kilometers per hour. However, his flying mystic skills could reach a speed of about 400 kilometers per hour. Combined, he could reach a speed of about 500 kilometers per hour, which was equivalent to 1,000 miles. However, the consumption of mystic skills for this kind of flying was extremely shocking. Just like this, Yang Dingtian flew towards the south at a speed of over 1,000 miles per hour at a height of 1,000 meters. At this moment, everything on the ground was just like ants. Looking from the ground to the sky, Yang Dingtian was just a black dot like a bird. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to discover him. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's heart surged with an absurd feeling. Dugu Fengwu and Dongfang Bingling, this pair of absolute beauties who couldn't coexist with each other, were actually on his body. Both of them were extremely weak. The consumption of mystic qi for this kind of flying was simply too shocking. In just 2 hours, Yang Dingtian's mystic qi had been completely depleted. Yang Dingtian landed in this desolate valley and consumed a mystic gathering elixir. After that, he adjusted his breathing for 15 minutes. Immediately, his qi sea was filled with mystic qi again. This mystic gathering elixir seemed to have shocking effects, but in fact, it was absolutely not to be consumed unless it was absolutely necessary. This was because one could only consume one mystic gathering elixir in a short period of time. If he were to consume 2 elixirs consecutively, the damage to his qi sea and mystic meridians would be absolutely shocking and irreversible. Even if he were to consume only 1 elixir, the consequences would be rather severe. It would cause his mystic meridians to stagnate. However, he couldn't care so much now. After recovering his mystic qi, Yang Dingtian carried Dugu Fengwu once again and flew towards the south at almost full speed. After an hour, they had left the Dongli grassland. Because they were flying at an extremely high altitude, they could intentionally avoid the half-human race flying at high altitudes. Therefore, the journey was more daunting than dangerous. Even though they were chased by a few flying half-human race, their speed wasn't as fast as Yang Dingtian. Furthermore, they didn't encounter any formidable experts. At this moment, there was already a boundless desert below. It was about 2,000 miles of desert. After an hour, Yang Dingtian's mystic qi was depleted again. At this moment, the sky was already dark. Yang Dingtian had no choice but to land on the dangerous desert. That's right, compared to the Dongli grassland, the desert was much more dangerous. This was because the desert didn't have any cover, and there were half-human races patrolling cavalry everywhere. Fortunately, Dongfang Bingling reacted quickly. After chasing Qin Huayu away, she immediately left at full speed. Therefore, by the time Qin Huayu and the others reacted, even if they sent experts to chase after them, they wouldn't be able to catch up. Furthermore, even if they sent a messenger bird to inform the patrolling army, they wouldn't be able to make it in time. There were very few messenger birds that were faster than Yang Dingtian. Of course, it wasn't that Gudu Wuhuan and Qin Huayu didn't have any flying mystic skills. In fact, their flying speed was even faster than Yang Dingtian. However, they might not do something that consumed a lot of mystic qi. Even if they did it, Yang Dingtian and the rest had left early. Even if they flew at full speed, they might not be able to catch up. After landing on the desert, Yang Dingtian quickly dug a sand nest. He then brought Dongfang Bingling and Dugu Fengwu into the sand nest. He needed 4 hours to absorb the battle mystic qi. These 4 hours were the most dangerous period of their lives. These 4 hours were enough for Qin Huayu and the rest to catch up. However, there was no other choice. Yang Dingtian had to recover his mystic qi before leaving. Yang Dingtian's luck wasn't bad. Just as he entered the sand nest, there was a storm above. Countless sand dunes started to move randomly, erasing all the traces that Yang Dingtian left behind. Merely an hour later, Yang Dingtian could clearly hear the hurried sound of horse hooves coming from above. That's right, the pursuers were here. Gudu Wuhuan and Qin Huayu had sent out a shocking number of patrolling cavalries to conduct a carpet search. According to the intensity and density of the sounds, Yang Dingtian estimated that there were at least a few thousand cavalries. There were also hellhounds and flying blind hawks accompanying them. These 2 demonic beasts had a fearsome sense of smell. Even if they were a few hundred meters away or a few dozen meters deep, they would still be able to smell. Right now, Yang Dingtian's sand nest was only a few dozen meters underground. It was obvious that the flying blind hawks would be able to smell it. In fact, these beasts had already smelled it. Yang Dingtian could hear them howling as they rushed over. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's hair stood on end as he felt a fatal danger. His mystic chi had just recovered by half, and he naturally wasn't afraid of ordinary patrolling cavalries. However, once he was entangled by these enemies, Qin Huayu and the rest would be here soon. By then, only death would await him. However, Yang Dingtian naturally had a way. He quickly took out a snow-white jade-like item from his spatial ring. Sister Ningning was the best beast speaker, and this silent jade fragrance was brewed by her. With this item, he could make all the demonic beasts with a high sense of smell within a few hundred meters lose their sense of smell. They would be completely unable to discover Yang Dingtian's existence. Yang Dingtian circulated his mystic chi and roasted this silent jade fragrance, letting this special smell spread out. It was indeed useful. Soon, the group of beasts that were desperately chasing him stopped in their tracks because their noses couldn't feel anything. Then, Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and continued to absorb mystic chi. Even so, the patrolling cavalries above still carefully searched the ground for nearly an hour before leaving like a whirling cloud. Yang Dingtian let out a long sigh of relief, and then continued to absorb the battle mystic chi. After more than 2 hours, Yang Dingtian finally filled his energy sea again. After confirming that there was no one on the sand, Yang Dingtian suddenly rushed out of the desert and flew into the air. He flew higher and higher, until he was a few thousand meters high. Looking down from the sky, Yang Dingtian immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Because he was in the desert, his field of vision was unobstructed. In this red desert, there were densely packed patrolling cavalries everywhere. They all held torches and carried out a carpet search of the entire desert. What Yang Dingtian encountered just now was only one of them. Yang Dingtian estimated that there were about 30 to 40,000 patrolling cavalries in the entire desert. The power of such a large number of cavalries was incomparably shocking. It seemed that the evil ways had infiltrated the Dongli grasslands much more than he had imagined. The power they controlled was also much more than Yang Dingtian had imagined. Moreover, there were hundreds of red dots in the air. They were hundreds of flying mystic cavalry, searching in the air. In order to hunt down Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling, they had used such a shocking force. However, it was fortunate that Yang Dingtian had the silent fragrant jade, so it was difficult for these flying beasts to discover him. However, to be safe, Yang Dingtian took the risk and flew higher and higher. He flew to a height of 4,000 meters before continuing to fly south. As he flew south, Yang Dingtian still saw densely packed cavalries, carrying out a carpet search of the entire desert. Now, Yang Dingtian had to correct his previous statement. There were not only 30 to 40,000 cavalries searching for Yang Dingtian in the desert, but there were more than 100,000 of them. Yang Dingtian's heart instantly became heavy. These 100,000 cavalries were obviously provided by the half-human race at the edge of the desert. When the time came for a huge battle, the evil ways in the Dongli grasslands would not only be able to mobilize a few 100,000, but a few million. It seemed that the half-human race would be included in the allied forces of the evil ways in this world-ending battle. For the past 1,000 years, the peace between humans and the half-human race might be completely over. An hour later, Yang Dingtian finally flew through the entire desert and arrived at the long coastline. In front of him was the boundless sea. Yang Dingtian let out a long sigh of relief. He had finally escaped from the pursuit of Qin Huayu and the others. Following that, Yang Dingtian circled in the air, looking for the Foxman race's ships. However, at the agreed location with Day-by-Day Bella, there were no traces of any ships. On the contrary, he saw a pile of burned ships and a pile of corpses. Yang Dingtian's heart immediately turned cold. It seemed that they had taken action in advance and burned all the ships left behind by the Foxman race. They had also killed all of the people. At this moment, there was a sudden roar in the desert. Then, someone pointed in Yang Dingtian's direction. Not good, they had discovered Yang Dingtian. Immediately, hundreds of flying cavalries rushed into the sky and chased after Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian hurriedly flew at full speed in the direction of the northwest continent. Now that his profound qi had been exhausted, he was definitely on the path to death. Any one of the hundreds of flying cavalrymen behind him would be able to take his life. Following the exhaustion of his profound qi, Yang Dingtian's flying speed became slower and slower. The flying cavalrymen behind him were getting closer and closer. Yang Dingtian could even hear their fierce battle cries and sinister expressions. Yang Dingtian looked at Dugu Fengwu, who was in his embrace. The ones chasing after them were the Ban race's flying cavalrymen. Therefore, Dugu Fengwu was probably useless as a hostage. Could it be that he was really going to die in this sea? According to the rules, one could only consume one mystic gathering pill every 3 to 4 days. A few hours ago, Yang Dingtian had just consumed one. If he were to consume a second one now, the consequences would be extremely severe. Even if he were to take a huge risk and consume a second mystic gathering pill, he might not be able to condense much profound qi. But at this moment, Yang Dingtian really had no other choice. He took out a mystic gathering pill from his spatial ring. Even if the consequences were severe, he had to consume it. Swish 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 swish. Right at this moment, there was an orderly sound on the surface of the sea. Then, a bundle of concentrated red light was shot out. There were a total of 4 ships on the surface of the sea. Earlier on, Yang Dingtian was anxious and was only paying attention to the pursuers behind him. He didn't pay attention to the surface of the sea. He didn't expect for there to be 4 ships on the surface of the sea. The concentrated red light that was shot into the sky came from the energy crossbows on the ships. These energy crossbows used wind elemental crystals as the power source and fire elemental crystals as the arrowheads. They were extremely lethal. A large ship could shoot dozens of energy arrows at once. For large ships could shoot over 100 energy arrows at once. Yang Dingtian could clearly see that these energy arrows were like rockets on Earth. They flew past him and towards the half-human race's flying cavalrymen behind him. Even though they dodged immediately, there were still dozens of half-human race's flying cavalrymen who were hit in the sky and fell into the sea. Not long after the first round of arrows, there was a second round of arrows, and then a third round of arrows. Immediately, the remaining half-human race's flying cavalrymen changed their direction and scattered in all directions to avoid the concentrated energy arrows. Yang Dingtian saw clearly that the flag on the ship was from the Foxman race. On the deck, there were also traces of the Foxman race, but there weren't many. Most of the sailors and warriors were actually humans. This should be Day by Day Bella's smuggling ship. That was why there were so many humans on the ship. Because they had always been close to humans, Day by Day Bella had a smuggling fleet that engaged in all kinds of trade and communication with humans. Yang Dingtian quickly landed on the deck of the large ship. Immediately, 2 Foxman warriors stepped forward and bowed. "May I know your name?" "Na Lu, also known as Shen Lang." Yang Dingtian replied. "You are indeed great Master Na Lu." The Foxman warrior leader said, "I am the warrior leader of the Middle-earth's fleet. 2 days ago, I received an order from the clan leader to pick you up at the coastline and send you to the northwest continent of Middle-earth. Our fleet was supposed to head out to sea yesterday, but in order to wait for you, we waited until today. Who knew that a few hours ago, our fleet that was docked at the pier suffered a devastating attack from an army of a few thousand soldiers? Our 4 ships were able to escape this calamity because we were patrolling on the surface of the sea." Yang Dingtian asked, "How many ships did your Middle-earth's fleet originally have?" 13 ships. That leader said, 9 ships were destroyed and over 1,000 men were killed. Immediately, Yang Dingtian's heart was filled with guilt. It was because they were here to pick him up that the Foxman race's Middle-earth's fleet suffered such a huge blow and lost over 1,000 men. Hurry up and return to the cabin to rest. Leave the matters above to us. That Foxman race warrior leader said. Thank you for the trouble. Yang Dingtian didn't return to the cabin. Instead, he placed Dugu Fengwu and Dongfang Bingling down and sat cross-legged on the deck to devour the battle mystic qi. At this moment, the remaining few hundred half-human race's flying knights were still preparing to surround the 4 ships and kill them from the sky. However, these energy crossbows were too incisive. In just a short period of time, they killed over 100 men and caused these half-human race's flying knights to be terror-stricken. When there were less than 100 of them left, these flying knights were finally afraid and flew back unwillingly. That warrior leader came in front of Yang Dingtian and bowed. Master Na Lu, the enemy has retreated. Many thanks, leader. Yang Dingtian said. Afterward, Yang Dingtian couldn't help but let out a long breath of relief. But at this moment, 2 black dots approached from afar and quickly chased after the 4 large ships. Yang Dingtian's back suddenly felt a chill. The Foxman race's warrior leader focused his eyes and ordered, prepare all the energy crossbows. Shoot! When the 2 black dots entered the killing radius, the Foxman race's warrior leader gave the order. Swish 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 swish. Over 100 energy crossbows ferociously shot at the 2 black dots and instantly enveloped them. The 2 of them didn't dodge and allowed the energy crossbows to hit them. However, they were completely unscathed. Before the energy crossbows even got close to their bodies, they were shattered into pieces. These 2 were absolute experts. Yang Dingtian quickly saw the 2 of them clearly. As expected, they were Gudu Wuhuan and Qin Huayu. At this moment, they were riding on 2 huge dark bats and were chasing after Yang Dingtian at a speed of over 1,000 miles per hour. In just a short moment, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan were already a few hundred meters behind the ship. Mr. Shenlang, you guys still couldn't escape from our evil clutches. Gudu Wuhuan said, you guys almost escaped. At that time, I felt strange. Since Fairy Dongfang was so powerful, why didn't she chase after us directly? Therefore, after escaping for an hour, we knew the reason. In order to kill Yin Tianchong, Fairy Dongfang had already exhausted all her mystic qi. It wasn't that she didn't want to kill us, but that she couldn't. Subsequently, Gudu Wuhuan said, in order to kill you guys, we dispatched 160,000 half-human race members. We didn't expect you to actually run over 5,000 miles and only found you on the sea. However, Mr. Shenlang, you can't escape now, right? The Foxman race leader's eyes congealed as he stared at Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan. He said coldly, all warriors of the Central Fleet, prepare for battle. Yes. Immediately, over 200 warriors pulled out their sharp swords and arranged themselves into battle formations on the various ships. Yang Dingtian stood up and said, brave warriors of the Foxman race, you guys can withdraw. This is a matter between me and them. We will settle it ourselves. Subsequently, Yang Dingtian said to Qin Huayu, these people are innocent. Let them go. If you have any problems, come at me. Apologies. Because they helped you, they have to die. Gudu Wuhuan said indifferently, since we have mobilized over 100,000 men, we wouldn't mind killing a few hundred more Foxman race members. Gudu Wuhuan looked at the unconscious Dugu Fengwu and said, Shenlang, hand Fengwu over, and we can let you and Dongfang Bingling die comfortably. Otherwise, no matter how tragic the scene is, it will befall upon you guys. Qin Huayu looked at Dongfang Bingling, who was seated cross-legged with her eyes closed, and said, Fairy Dongfang, I am incomparably shocked that you were able to kill Yin Tianchong. However, you still ended up in my hands. That might not be the case. Right at this moment, Dongfang Bingling suddenly opened her eyes and shot out a bright and threatening gaze. Qin Huaiyu and Gudu Wuhuan were shocked as they instinctively turned and wanted to escape. It was obvious that they were indeed frightened by Dongfang Bingling. This woman's strength and ruthlessness were far beyond their imagination. In order to kill her, they had set up a huge trap twice, but they didn't succeed. Instead, a master-class expert, Yin Tianchong, was killed by her. But after a short moment, Qin Huaiyu laughed and said, "Stop putting on an act, Fairy Dongfang. In order to kill Yin Tianchong, you have already overdrafted all your mystic qi. You can forget about recovering in less than half a month. At the Sun and Moon Lake, your empty fort strategy scared us away. Don't think of using the same trick a second time." Immediately after, Qin Huaiyu looked at Yang Dingtian and said, "Don't even think about using that young lady Dugu to threaten us. It is useless." Finishing his statement, Qin Huaiyu and Gudu Wuhuan swooped down and hovered dozens of meters above Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling, giving the entire ship immense pressure. Dongfang Bingling stared coldly at the two of them before slowly drawing her sharp sword again. "Stop putting on an act, Fairy Dongfang. You are already unable to withstand a single blow." Qin Huaiyu laughed and said, "Even at this time, you are still putting on the airs of a direct immortal? Shen Lang, after I die, send my keepsake back to the Yinyang school." Dongfang Bingling was cold. Then, she handed something over to Yang Dingtian and said, "If Gudu Wuhuan and Qin Huaiyu still have corpses, chop off their heads and send them back to the Yinyang school as well." Finishing her statement, Dongfang Bingling suddenly released a powerful battle intent. Immediately, Yang Dingtian and the others' expression changed. They didn't expect Dongfang Bingling to still talk about Qin Huaiyu and Gudu Wuhuan's corpses at this time. From her words, she actually wanted to kill the two of them. Qin Huaiyu sneered and said with disdain, "Fairy Dongfang, enough of your acting. You still want to kill us at this time? Dream on. After we captured you, we originally planned to hand you over to be made into a puppet and didn't plan to do anything to you. However, your pretentious actions made me very unhappy. Then, don't blame us for tarnishing and humiliating you later. After all, you are the #1 beauty in the world. You asked for all of this." Finishing their statement, Qin Huaiyu and Gudu Wuhuan suddenly pulled out their sharp swords. Their faces were filled with evil intent. From their words, not only did Qin Huaiyu and Gudu Wuhuan want to make Dongfang Bingling into an evil puppet, they also wanted to tarnish her. Dongfang Bingling's gaze turned cold. "I am not like you guys. I have never acted before. Last time, I overdrew my sea of qi and mystic veins. This time, I have overdrawn my life. Is it enough to kill you?" Even when talking about perishing together, Dongfang Bingling's voice and expression were calm. There wasn't much generosity, but it was filled with determination. Once these words were spoken, Qin Huaiyu's expression changed greatly. His face trembled as he said, "Do you think I will believe you?" Dongfang Bingling didn't reply. Boom! A terrifying flame suddenly emerged from her body and instantly burned fiercely. A surge of murderous aura burst out from her body. The ship beneath her feet shook violently, and the surrounding sea surface trembled violently, setting off huge waves. Everyone could clearly feel that Dongfang Bingling's entire life was burning. "Shen Lang, fly up and leave immediately." Dongfang Bingling turned to Yang Dingtian and said, "Go back and tell Yang Dingtian that I will not be able to participate in the martial competition 3 years later. However, he is definitely not a match for me. No one in this world can surpass me, and Yang Dingtian is even more impossible. Go." Afterward, Dongfang Bingling yelled out and ordered Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian put down Dugu Fengwu and slowly drew out his youngling sword. He said, "I will not leave. I might be very weak and am only here to make up the numbers. However, I don't wish to leave now. I will fight alongside you. With me around, it will not be your turn." Dongfang Bingling had already completely turned into a terrifying flame as she spoke coldly. Swish! Afterward, Dongfang Bingling suddenly rushed towards the sky and killed towards Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan. At this moment, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan were inconsolably appalled. They didn't expect Dongfang Bingling to be so resolute. Seeing how Dongfang Bingling was so ferocious that she wanted to perish together with them, Qin Huayu was truly scared out of his soul. Fairy Dongfang, there is no need to risk your life, there is no need to risk your life. We are only here to capture you, not to kill you. There is no need to risk your life. Qin Huayu quickly retreated and yelled out. Dongfang Bingling can die, but I must not be captured. Dongfang Bingling said. Qin Huayu spoke with a trembling voice, all right then, we will not capture you. We will leave immediately, leave immediately. Finishing his statement, Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan were about to turn and flee. It is too late. Those who dare to insult me will all die. Dongfang Bingling spoke with a cold voice. She suddenly raised her flaming longsword and slashed at Qin Huayu. Boom! Qin Huayu tried his best to dodge, but he still wasn't able to. Swish! His entire left arm was scraped. Half of his arm was instantly sliced off, causing blood to spurt out violently. Qin Huayu let out a miserable howl. In an instant, Yang Dingtian felt an incomparably huge and gentle force pushing him onto the deck of the ship. Shen Lang, live on well. Remember me occasionally and think of me. Dongfang Bingling's gentle voice echoed in Yang Dingtian's ears. He picked her up and faced Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian, did you stab my daughter? Yang Dingtian nodded. Gudu Zhao's eyes narrowed. He ignored Yang Dingtian and looked toward Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan at lightning speed. At this moment, the two of them were still trembling slightly and their faces were still pale. Sigh. Dugu Xiao said, it seems that my evil ways really doesn't have any talents. Be it Gudu Fengwu or Gudu Wuhuan, they are far inferior compared to Dongfang Bingling. Immediately after, Gudu Xiao said to Gudu Wuhuan, you still want to marry Fengwu? Do you still have any shame? Once this was said, Gudu Wuhuan's expression instantly changed as he felt extremely humiliated. If it wasn't for your parents, I wouldn't have saved the two of you. I would have let the two of you die in the hands of Dongfang Bingling. Dugu Xiao said coldly, now, the two of you can get lost. Yes. Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan hurriedly bowed before leaping onto a flying mount and flying towards the north. They didn't dare to stay in Dugu Xiao's field of vision any longer. The further, the better. After Qin Huayu and Gudu Wuhuan left, Dugu Xiao looked at Yang Dingtian indifferently and said, you killed my daughter and almost caused her to lose her life. However, I won't kill you. The grudges between you and Dugu Fengwu shall be settled by the two of you. After she recovers, it's none of my business whether she will dismember you into pieces, spare your life, or even marry you. You better take care of yourself. Finishing his statement, Dugu Xiao soared into the sky and was about to leave with Dugu Fengwu. Senior, Yang Dingtian shouted, may I ask if you have a way to save Dongfang Bingling? At this moment, Yang Dingtian couldn't feel Dongfang Bingling's pulse and breathing at all. Previously, Dongfang Bingling had been sealed in ice and was silent. She had even stopped breathing and heartbeat. However, there was still vitality circulating within her chi vessel. At this moment, Yang Dingtian really couldn't feel any vitality from Dongfang Bingling. Therefore, even though he knew that Dugu Xiao was a great devil and an extremely evil one, Yang Dingtian still couldn't help but ask. Don't waste your energy. The mystic flame is burning her chi vessel and vitality. No one can save her. She is already dead, Dugu Xiao said. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's body trembled violently as though he was struck by lightning. He stared blankly at Dongfang Bingling's lifeless face. Dugu Xiao sneered and continued to leave. Suddenly, Dugu Xiao said, Yang Dingtian, after forging the youngling sword in the fire cloud devil cave, Fengwu returned home once. However, she quickly ran away from home, and it has been more than 10 months since then. I specially came out to look for her, and it has been almost half a year. At this time, young Ding Tian was inconsolable. After hearing Du Zhao's words, he had no idea what he was talking about. Alas! Du Zhao sighed and continued to fly away. However, his direction was the north. He didn't return to the northwest continent, but flew in the direction of the Dongli grassland. Young Ding Tian sat on the deck with Dongfang Bingling in his arms. He didn't react at all. He couldn't tell if it was sadness or some other feeling. It was just that he had lost interest in everything around him. He really couldn't accept that Dongfang Bingling was going to die. She hadn't even competed with him, and the 5-year agreement hadn't even arrived yet, but she was going to die. How could this be? She was so powerful, so arrogant, and the #1 genius in 400 years. How could she die? Perhaps it was fate that made so many things happen between the two of them, who were like enemies and enemies, in the Dongli grassland. They were entangled with each other again, and in the end, she died in Yang Dingtian's arms? Why was it like this? Why was it like this? In Yang Dingtian's grief and stupefaction, the leader of the Foxman race sighed, and then ordered the ship to set sail in the direction of the northwest continent. His master, Dongfang Minmi, also clearly knew what had happened. He didn't make any sound, and was also immersed in incomparable grief. He didn't open his mouth to comfort Yang Dingtian. At this time, Yang Dingtian suddenly discovered that Dongfang Bingling's body had changed. Originally, her skin was completely ice-cold, but now, it was gradually becoming rosy. Then, her whole body gradually regained vitality. Then, her breathing gradually recovered, and her heartbeat gradually recovered. Although her breathing and heartbeat were still incomparably weak, they were finally there. Yang Dingtian was so surprised and ecstatic that he lost all his senses. What was going on? Didn't Du Zhao say that no one could save Dongfang Bingling? Wasn't Dongfang Bingling doomed? Just now, she indeed seemed to have died. How did she come back to life? Yang Dingtian asked in surprise and puzzlement, "Master, what's going on? How did this happen?" Dongfang Minmi was also very excited, and said with a trembling voice, Perhaps it's because of your blood. Back then, in order to thaw her, you transferred a third of your blood into her body. Because you have the 9 yang profound veins, at the last moment, you protected her trace of life. Also, because of Du Zhao's arrival, her sea of qi didn't have time to explode, so she saved her life. Yang Dingtian, so you saved her life again. Dongfang Minmi said with a trembling voice. No matter what, it's good that she didn't die, it's good that she didn't die. Yang Dingtian said with a trembling voice. Then, Yang Dingtian hurriedly carried her into the cabin, took out a cup of holy water, and poured it into her small mouth. Immediately, her breathing became more stable, her heartbeat became more vigorous, and her skin became more rosy. Your blood, not only did it restore my life, it even allowed my profound veins and aura C to have a qualitative leap. This is something I did not expect beforehand. Yang Dingtian also did not expect that his blood of 9 suns did not have much of an effect in Dongfang Bingling's body. This time, when she used the profound flame to burn her aura C, not only did the blood of 9 suns save her life, it had even completely fused into her body. However, she had Yin-type profound veins. After the blood of 9 suns fused into her, it actually allowed her aura C and profound veins to advance once again. This made Yang Dingtian very surprised. After this farewell, I don't know when we can meet again. Bingling's heart is in a mess. I only wish Lord Shen a safe journey. Finally, it was the signature. In the beginning, it was written as Dongfang Bingling. Later on, the 2 words Dongfang were crossed out, leaving only the 2 words Bingling. If it was signed as Dongfang Bingling, it would seem very formal. If it was only the two words Bingling, it would seem a little more intimate. Her heart was indeed in a mess, to the extent that her handwriting was a little messy. Furthermore, when she and Qin Huayu perished together, Yang Dingtian had already called her, "I am Yang Dingtian." Could it be that she had already lost her consciousness? Here, she called Yang Dingtian as Lord Shen. However, the usually arrogant Dongfang Bingling was actually unable to face him, and chose to leave without saying goodbye. This was really unlike her original personality. Looking at the messy yet beautiful handwriting on the white paper, Yang Dingtian's heart could not help but be in a mess, as if he had lost something. Leaving without saying goodbye is also good. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to face it either. In the end, Yang Dingtian secretly said in his heart. Then, he folded the letter, and planned to place it into his spatial ring. Suddenly, he did not know if it was an illusion, or if it was real, but he seemed to have faintly seen a beautiful and ingenious lip print on the letter. It was very light, and was almost impossible to see. After taking a closer look, it did not seem to be the case. Dongfang Bingling would leave a lip print on a piece of paper. This did not seem like something she would do at all. However, this did indeed look like a lip print, and it was in the shape of Dongfang Bingling's small mouth. Instantly, Yang Dingtian's heart was in a mess. After bidding farewell to the Foxman race warrior leader on the ship, Yang Dingtian took a small boat to the beach, and then once again stepped onto the land of the northwest continent. After more than half a year, he had once again stepped onto the northwest continent. If he had not come to the Dongli grassland, Yang Dingtian would not have known that the half-human race called all the land inhabited by humans the Middle Earth. In order to avoid the Northwest Qin clan's sphere of influence, the Foxman race's smuggling fleet had chosen to dock at the south of the northwest continent, which was about 2,000 miles away from Qin City. Furthermore, it was much closer to the Netherworld Sea from here. Even though he knew that Dongfang Bingling was definitely far away, Yang Dingtian could not help but use the ethereal mystic wings to search in the air. Of course, he could not find any trace of Dongfang Bingling. Sigh. It's good that we separated like this. Otherwise, not only would Dongfang Bingling not know how to face me, but I would also face her. I don't even know how to face her. Yang Dingtian sighed in his heart again. Actually, both of them did not know how to face her. Because they were in the Dongli grassland previously, almost no one there knew Yang Dingtian and Dongfang Bingling. And here, they were in the human country. Dongfang Bingling's every move would have a great impact. After stepping onto the land, Yang Dingtian identified the north, south, east, and west directions. Master, I should go to the abandoned mine to kill the Abyss Lord and dig out the remaining 10,000-year-old bloody black gold to forge a real soul sword. I should go to the Netherworld Sea to pick up Yen Yen first, Yang Dingtian said. There is only about a month before the Cloud Heaven City Lord Martial competition. Let's go to the Netherworld Sea first. Dongfang Minmi said. Okay, let's go to the Netherworld Sea to pick up Yen Yen first. Thus, Yang Dingtian rushed to a town first, bought the most expensive mount, and rushed to the southernmost side. A day and a half later, Yang Dingtian arrived at the southernmost side of the northwest continent. Then, he booked the fastest ship and headed to the southwest continent. Between the northwest continent and the southwest continent was more than 3,000 miles of sea. The ship Yang Dingtian booked was not big, but it was very fast. In just a day and a night, he had already arrived at the southwest continent. Then, Yang Dingtian bought the most expensive mount again and rushed to the end of the southwest continent. He rushed day and night, without sleep or rest, and traveled day and night. Of course, Yang Dingtian wasn't just making haste during this journey. He was also cultivating on the back of his mount. For 24 hours a day, he was absorbing qi. In addition to the few days on the sea, Yang Dingtian's qi cultivation had broken through by half a level in this half a month. At this time, he was already a middle 6-star martial ancestor. That meant that according to his cultivation speed, he could break through to 7-star martial ancestor in a month. This kind of cultivation speed was completely shocking. However, there was less than a month before the City Lord Martial competition. Even if Yang Dingtian broke through to 7-star martial ancestor, it would be quite difficult for him to defeat Shimin Ju. One had to know that Shimin Ju had already broken through to martial honorable more than a year ago. Furthermore, he definitely had not made no progress in the past year. 5 days later, Yang Dingtian rushed for a few thousand miles and finally appeared at the end of the southwest continent. Not far ahead was the vast sea. On the other side of the sea was the Netherworld Sea, where Yan Yan was. At this time, there were still 22 days before the City Lord Martial competition. Her gaze was as though Yang Dingtian wasn't human. Immediately after, Mu Lianyi realized that what she said wasn't right. She immediately slapped her mouth and stuck out her tongue as she smiled embarrassedly. After a moment, Mu Lianqing finally reacted and said, "Young Lord is truly sent by the heavens to revitalize our Cloud Heaven City. Such shocking talent is truly unprecedented and will never be replicated." Even City Lord Shimin back then was far inferior. Speaking of which, Master's vision is simply too shocking. Previously, no one thought highly of young Lord. Only Master had a discerning eye and immediately married young lady to young Lord, making young Lord the successor of the City Lord. Young Lord's cultivation is actually so shocking. In this martial contest for the City Lord's position, young Lord will definitely shock everyone and amaze the world. Yang Dingtian said, "If I stop here, then the martial contest will still be rather difficult. Shimin Ju is at least a martial supreme expert. With my current cultivation level, it will still be difficult to defeat him. I believe that young Lord will be able to do it." Mu Lianyi said, "You have already completed the previous difficult steps. I don't believe that you can't complete the last few steps. I will do my best to take back everything that belongs to martial Uncle Shimin." Yang Dingtian said, "Uncle Mu, for the past year, has the southwest continent been peaceful? Did the Raging Flames Castle come looking for trouble?" Mu Lianqing said, "The Raging Flames Castle has expanded tremendously. Their territory is almost 2 to 3 times more than before. But for some reason, the Mu clan docks hasn't appeared. I am not worried about the Raging Flames Castle. Of course, I feel uneasy about the Sky Phoenix Pavilion. It is completely different from the Sky Phoenix Pavilion that shunned the world previously. For the past year, the Sky Phoenix Pavilion has become very domineering. They will prosper if they obey and perish if they oppose. In the entire southwest continent, no one dares to defy them." Sky Phoenix Pavilion. This was a sect that was formed entirely by females in the Tiando League. It was one of the 3 sects, 9 clans, and 27 factions. It was obviously not on the same level as the Raging Flames Castle. The Raging Flames Castle wasn't even qualified to clean his shoes. Ever since Ning Ro's master went missing, the Sky Phoenix Pavilion had a new pavilion master. Naturally, their style of doing things changed drastically. Furthermore, Yang Dingtian knew that the current Sky Phoenix Pavilion was almost under the control of the Northwest Qin City. Therefore, the Sky Phoenix Pavilion's expansion was the Northwest Qin City's method of ruling over the entire southwest continent. "Did that affect our Mu clan docks?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Not really." Mu Lianqing said, "The Mu clan docks is too small. The Sky Phoenix Pavilion wouldn't find trouble with us." Chapter 298. Yang Dingtian loudly said, "Seniors of the Netherworld Sea, Yang Dingtian has come to visit." There was only silence. There was no response. "Seniors of the Netherworld Sea, Yang Dingtian has come to visit." Yang Dingtian loudly shouted again. Still no response. "Seniors of the Netherworld Sea, Yang Dingtian has come to pick up my wife, Yan Yan Shimin, please show yourself." Yang Dingtian shouted. Still no response. Yang Dingtian suddenly frowned. Yan Yan had knelt on the silver beach for 7 days and 7 nights. When she was about to die, the people of the Netherworld Sea appeared and took her and Yang Dingtian in. Now, it was absolutely impossible for Yang Dingtian to kneel for 7 days and 7 nights. Moreover, he didn't have the time. Yang Dingtian said, "Seniors of the Netherworld Sea, in order to save me last time, you wasted a Naga's Xian vein crystal, which was 5 inches long. This time, I brought a fresh Naga's purple Xian vein, which was 1 foot long, to repay my debt." One must know that purple was 1 level higher than red. Moreover, one was 5 inches, while the other was 1 foot long. One was a crystal, while the other was a fresh Xian vein. Therefore, Yang Dingtian returned Yang Dingtian to the Netherworld Sea, which was more than 10 times what the Netherworld Sea gave him before. Of course, the Naga's Xian vein that Tantai gave to Yang Dingtian was 3 feet long. Yang Dingtian used 1 foot to repay the debt. 1 foot was intended to be used on Yan Yan, and the last foot was used on himself. If the holy water still couldn't save Yan Yan's Xian vein, then this foot of Naga's Xian vein should be able to heal Yan Yan's Xian vein. Of course, the 1 foot long Xian vein that Tantai gave was a whole one. There was almost no weapon in the world that could cut off the Naga's Xian vein without destroying its energy. Fortunately, Yang Dingtian possessed the mystic flame and could silently sever the 3 feet mystic vein into 3 sections in an instant. To be honest, if Yang Dingtian were to use all of the purple veins from the Naga clan on himself, he might be able to break through to the revered martial artist level. However, he owed Yan Yan so much. How could he be so selfish and use this treasure on himself? Just now, the Netherworld Sea had ignored Yang Dingtian's call from beginning to end. Now that Yang Dingtian had used such a precious treasure to lure them, he did not believe that the people of the Sea of Hades would not show themselves. A foot of Naga's purple profound veins was enough to move anyone in this world, even the Netherworld Sea. However, after Yang Dingtian shouted, there was still silence. Yang Dingtian directly took out a jade box from his bosom, raised it high in the air and said, "Everyone from the Netherworld Sea, I am willing to use a foot of purple Naga clan's profound veins in exchange for the freedom of my wife, Shimin Yan Yan. Please show yourself." Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past. In the second case, after my martial uncle Wu Yan's soul sword has been completely purified and he has cultivated a sword soul, we will return her freedom. Yang Dingtian's complexion immediately turned cold. These 2 conditions were impossible to achieve within 10 years. After thinking for a while, Yang Dingtian said again, "Then does your Netherworld Sea have anyone you want to save but can't save? For example, a very, very important person, for some reason, is about to leave this world, but you can't save him. I think I can save this person, and then I will use this important person's life to exchange for Shimin Yan Yan's freedom." Song Yu indifferently shook his head and said, "I'm very sorry, there is no such person for you to save." Yang Dingtian's heart really surged with a ball of fire. This Netherworld Sea was completely impervious to oil and salt. Then, Yang Dingtian took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down and said, "If I want to take Shimin Yan Yan away now. What conditions do you have? Any conditions, no matter how ridiculous, say it out for me to hear." Song Yu's lips curled into a cold smile and said, "I'm sorry, we don't have any conditions. Especially, we won't put any conditions on a person who has almost nothing." Yang Dingtian really didn't understand, when did the Netherworld Sea become so noble, not even wanting a treasure that was delivered to their doorstep. Moreover, it was the purple Naga race's Xian vein, this kind of treasure of heaven and earth, they didn't want it. This was really not in line with the Netherworld Sea's style. Suddenly, Song Yu said, "Yang Dingtian, are you done talking?" Yang Dingtian frowned and said, "I'm done for the time being. What, do you have something to say?" Since you're done talking about your matter, then let's talk about our matter now. Song Yu indifferently said, you are the only outsider who has successfully entered the Netherworld Sea in hundreds of years. Of course, this sounded like praise. But if it was put another way, it could also be said that you are the only person who has broken into the Netherworld Sea in hundreds of years. Our Netherworld Sea is not your family's back mountain, anyone can casually break in. You broke in, very amazing, but the consequences are also very, very serious. Want to hear what the consequences are? Yang Dingtian, I'm all ears. Song Yu said, since you broke in, then don't think about going out. Directly cripple your martial arts, cut off your tongue, and stay in the Netherworld Sea as the lowest servant. As soon as these words came out, Yang Dingtian's eyes shrank and said, and then? Song Yu, don't make me look down on you. Your Netherworld Sea may not be invincible, but at least no one in the world dares to provoke you. Don't be secretive, I believe you have no interest in taking me as a servant, what do you want? Song Yu slightly smiled and said, good, I'll be straightforward. You broke into the Netherworld Sea, the consequences are very serious. Do you want to leave here alive? Or, do you want to leave here in one piece? Of course. Yang Dingtian. Good, then hand over the foot of purple Naga Xian vein, and we will forgive your sins and let you leave. Song Yu indifferently said, of course, you will leave by yourself. This Naga Xian vein is only used to redeem your sins of breaking into the Netherworld Sea, there is no other use. After hearing Song Yu's words, Yang Dingtian couldn't help but laugh. He only guessed half of the Netherworld Sea right. Earlier, he was still surprised. When did the sea of the Netherworld become so indifferent? Why wasn't it greedy and shameless? The half of Yang Dingtian's guess was right, the Netherworld Sea was still greedy and shameless. And the half of Yang Dingtian's guess was wrong, he didn't think that the Netherworld Sea was more greedy and shameless than he thought. They didn't want to release Yan Yan and wanted to swallow Yang Dingtian's Naga race Xian veins. Furthermore, they wanted to establish a memorial arch for Yang Dingtian. They didn't want to snatch it away but wanted to frame Yang Dingtian with a crime. This shameless charm really reminded him of some countries in the Earth era. After taking away your things, they made you pay a huge price to buy it back. Must it be like this? Yang Dingtian indifferently said. Yes, it must be like this. Song Yu said. Yang Dingtian, if I don't agree to this deal. Song Yu said, then we will use force to punish you, if we fail, we may take your life. Then everything on you will be handed over to the abstinence hall, waiting for the owner to come and claim it. Of course, after a period of time, if no one comes to claim it, we may borrow it. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian was even more amazed, to be able to be shameless to your level, I really admire you. No matter if it's Qin Wanchou or Dugu Shao, they are far from being comparable to you. Song Yu shrugged again and said, so, if I were you, I wouldn't recklessly barge in. You know the consequences are very serious, but you still barge in, isn't your brain stupid? But the one trapped here is my wife, I would rather be a fool than a bitch. Yang Dingtian said. Then are you sure you don't want to trade? Song Yu said, you don't want the Naga race's purple mystic veins to redeem your sins? Of course not. Yang Dingtian said. Many thanks, this is also what we want. Song Yu said, then slowly drew out his sharp sword and said, then don't blame us for being impolite. After all, you are the one who broke the rules of my Netherworld Sea. Are you going to kill me and snatch my treasures? Yang Dingtian said. No, just a punishment. Song Yu said, of course, if I fail, then I will be very sorry. What is your approximate cultivation? Is it comparable to Dongfang Bingling? Yang Dingtian asked. Song Yu shook his head and said, probably not. Yang Dingtian paused for a moment as he observed Song Yu and continued, of course, if your level is too low and you don't have the qualifications, perhaps you won't understand the meaning behind my words. It doesn't matter if you don't understand, your master will definitely understand. So, please report to your master that Tantai gave me this Naga clan's Xian vein and asked me to come to the Netherworld Sea to ask for her. If I were you, I would definitely report to my master, otherwise it would be a disaster for the Netherworld Sea, and you probably wouldn't be able to bear it. Song Yu's laughter gradually froze, and his eyes gradually revealed shock, confusion, and doubt. Finally, he slowly straightened his body and stared at Yang Dingtian. He slowly sheathed his sword and bowed, then, please wait for a moment, Sire Yang Dingtian, I will go and report to my master. Finished speaking, Song Yu soared into the sky and landed on the ship. He steered the ship and sailed towards the distant illusory island. At this moment, Song Yu was modest and polite, as if he was a completely different person from before. And at this moment, Yang Dingtian's heart was also filled with shock. He knew that this trip to the Netherworld Sea to save Yan Yan would be very difficult, but he didn't expect it to be so difficult, and that the Netherworld Sea would be so greedy and shameless. Saint Tantai's name, he had already thought that he would use it to scare people when he was completely at his wits' end. As for whether or not he could scare the Netherworld Sea, he didn't have much confidence. But he didn't expect that Tantai's name would directly cause an earthquake in Song Yu's heart. The shock in his eyes left a deep impression. It seemed that Saint Tantai's name had shocked the Netherworld Sea tens of thousands of miles away. Chapter 300. Yang Dingtian sat cross-legged on the golden beach and waited for Song Yu and his master to arrive. The Netherworld Sea was huge, and one couldn't even see the end of it. It was at least a few hundred miles in size. The buildings of the Netherworld Sea were hidden on the various islands in the sea. In Yang Dingtian's vision, there were over a dozen islands of various sizes. However, every island was hidden behind the fog and looked very mysterious. Yang Dingtian looked up at the sky again and indeed found something unnatural. There were still two suns and white clouds. It was just like the real sky, but if one took a closer look, they would notice that the sky would occasionally distort slightly as though it was struck by electric current. The so-called Netherworld Sea was the sea under the sea, and there was an energy field that couldn't be passed through. Even though it was still mysterious and fantastical, it didn't feel as mysterious and bizarre as hell or paradise. Yang Dingtian didn't have to wait for long before Song Yu returned. He was standing on a small boat, which was rapidly drifting towards Yang Dingtian. He was the only one there. He didn't see the rower, and he didn't see his master either. Soon enough, Song Yu's small boat reached the shore, and he jumped onto the golden beach. Yang Dingtian stood up and asked, "What is your master going to say?" Song Yu replied, "My master will talk to you personally." Yang Dingtian was startled as there wasn't a third person in the surroundings. How was he going to talk to his master? Was there a phone in this world? Right at this moment, there was a sudden surge of seawater on the surface of the sea, which gradually condensed into a human figure. It was a woman with an incomparably graceful figure, wearing a long blue dress. The curves of her body were like the undulating mountains and rivers. That kind of magic-like seduction was beyond Dugu Fengwu and Qin Mengli. It was rather similar to Tantai. Of course, this wasn't a real person, but a human figure condensed by the seawater. Her figure was extremely seductive, and her face was extremely gorgeous and enchanting. However, Yang Dingtian still felt that this face was a little strange. It was extremely gorgeous, extremely enchanting, and almost as beautiful as Dongfang Bingling, but it gave people a strange feeling. As for what kind of feeling it was, Yang Dingtian couldn't say for a while. "My name is Wu Yu, the master of the Sea of Hades," the man said. As soon as he spoke, Yang Dingtian finally knew where this strange feeling came from. When he was on Earth, he had seen many transvestites in movies and on the internet. Some transvestites were even more beautiful and enchanting than women, but they always gave off a feeling of being obedient. And when he saw Wu Yu, Yang Dingtian felt the same way. As soon as this person spoke, this feeling became even clearer. Yang Dingtian let out a long sigh of relief, then bowed and said, "Many thanks, sect master." "No need to thank me." Wu Yu said, "I haven't finished speaking." Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's heart stopped, and he said, "Sect master, please continue." "Shiman Yan Yan can leave, but you can't." Wu Yu said, "Because you trespassed into the netherworld sea without permission, this is a great sin." Yang Dingtian hurriedly said, "I'm willing to accept the punishment, I'm willing to hand over the 1 foot of the Naga Xian veins to redeem my sin." "What do you think the netherworld sea is?" Wu Yu suddenly shouted. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's head became dizzy, his chest turned, and he was in extreme pain. His vision turned black, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, the entire netherworld sea shook. The sea in front of him raised huge waves. Wu Yu's figure formed by the sea water instantly grew 100 meters tall, turning into a giant dozens of stories tall. Just the power of his anger was like the mountains and rivers turning upside down, and the rivers flowing in reverse. Yang Dingtian desperately suppressed the pain of the energy rolling, and said respectfully, "Then Sect Master Wu Yu, what do I need? How can I redeem my sin of trespassing?" "Peel off the skin and pull out the tendons, grind the bones and scatter the ashes, and refine the mind and soul into a screaming vengeful spirit, and become a ghost fire in the hall, illuminating the light of my book." Wu Yu said indifferently. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's heart turned cold. If Wu Yu really wanted to do this, then even if Dongfang Minmi came, he wouldn't be able to stop him. However, Wu Yu continued, "Towards Saint Tantai, I have always held respect in my heart. If you want to leave, it's very simple. You know where the entrance to the netherworld sea is, so you naturally know where the exit is. 3 days later, Song Yu will be guarding the Golden Beach. If you can break through him, you can leave. If you can't break through, then destroy your Qi Si, cut off your tongue, dig out your eyes, and become the most lowly servant in my netherworld sea." Suddenly, Yang Dingtian sucked in a breath of cold air. This Song Yu was a 5 or 6-star revered martial artist. Break through his defenses and leave the netherworld sea. This was not a difficult task, but rather something that was almost impossible. Moreover, he used Tantai's name to suppress the netherworld sea, so Song Yu definitely wouldn't be lenient. Yang Dingtian carried Tantai's name, and Wu Yu chose to compromise and let go of Yan Yan. However, he hated Yang Dingtian to the core, so he made the decision to let go of Yan Yan and not Yang Dingtian. He wanted Yang Dingtian to face the most tragic end in the netherworld sea. Then, Wu Yu's eyes shot out an ice-cold light, and he said indifferently, "If you dare to say a word of no, I will immediately draw out your soul and turn you into a walking corpse." Yang Dingtian obviously couldn't say no, otherwise Wu Yu would definitely do so. This kind of unfathomable big shot, facing the ant-like weaklings, would never have the patience. If he didn't use Tantai's name, Yang Dingtian wouldn't even have the qualifications to see the master of the netherworld sea, Wu Yu, even if it was just an illusion made of seawater. "Okay, I agree. Yang Dingtian, you let go of Yan Yan. 3 days later, I will break through the netherworld sea's entrance guarded by Song Yu. The winner will escape with his life, the loser will die on the spot." Wu Yu let out a disdainful laugh. Subsequently, the sound of the 100-meter-high seawater gradually dissipated as it fell back into the surface of the sea. Its enchanting, gorgeous, strange, and mysterious figure had completely vanished from Yang Dingtian's vision. Song Yu glanced at Yang Dingtian, and directly sat cross-legged on the golden beach, and said, "From now on, I will guard this beach. If you want to go out, you just have to break through my defense and not be killed by me, that will be enough." Yang Dingtian looked at the beach, which was about 100 square meters. Song Yu, even with his eyes closed, could guard every inch of this place. "Remember, in the next 3 days, once your feet leave this beach and re-enter, I will launch a fatal attack." Song Yu said indifferently, "You should be glad that it is me who is guarding, and not my master's other 3 disciples. Among the 4 of them, I am responsible for chores, so I am the least qualified. Yang Dingtian was shocked again. He, Song Yu, was already a 5 or 6-star revered martial artist, then what about the other 3 disciples? Then what was Wu Yu's cultivation level? Suddenly, Yang Dingtian had a new understanding of this world. Then can I go see Yan Yan now? Yang Dingtian asked. Of course. Song Yu said, she is now completely free, and can leave at any time, and can do anything with you on the island. Yang Dingtian stepped on the boat, and saluted Song Yu, saying, 3 days later, see you. Remember, in 3 days, as long as you enter the Golden Beach, I will kill you. Song Yu said indifferently, and then slowly closed his eyes, holding his sword on his knees, and a powerful energy enveloped the entire Golden Beach. Yang Dingtian drove the boat, and rowed towards Wuyan Island where Yan Yan was. If we have such powerful people as friends, wouldn't our mission be much easier? They are not friends, but our enemies, and they are our biggest enemies. Yang Dingtian said, it's just that I'm too weak now, and I'm not qualified to be their enemy. My master, Dongfang Minmi, died in their hands. At this time, Yan Yan exclaimed. Dongfang Minmi was known as the #1 in the world, but he actually died in the hands of this group of people. It can be seen how powerful this group of people is. Then, Yan Yan said, no matter what, it's good that we can leave here. Although Granny is very good to me here, it's not my home after all. My home is where you and Mother are. Baby, I'm taking you home this time. Yang Dingtian kissed Yan Yan's little mouth. Then let's say goodbye to Granny and leave immediately. Yan Yan said, then her eyes turned and said, how about we let Granny go with us? Yang Dingtian kissed Yan Yan's whimsical thoughts again lovingly and said, the people of the Netherworld Sea agreed to let you go because they are afraid of Saint Tantai. But they are very unhappy. Although they agreed to give you freedom, they want to pursue the crime of trespassing into the Netherworld Sea and want me to stay. I can't. Yan Yan straightened her body and said, if we leave together. Granny loves me very much. We will go beg her now. You don't need to beg me. I can't wait to kill this Yang Dingtian. What does his life have to do with me? Elder Wu Yan said coldly outside. Yan Yan wanted to beg, but she saw Yang Dingtian's stubborn eyes and immediately gave up the idea. Then, she said, what conditions do they want to let you go? I can break through the exit at any time within 3 days, but Song Yu is guarding the Golden Beach. As soon as I enter, he will immediately attack me without mercy. Yang Dingtian said, so if I want to leave, I must break through Song Yu's defense. After Yang Dingtian finished speaking, Yan Yan's body suddenly trembled. She was well aware of how powerful Song Yu was. And Yang Dingtian was only a 3-star Xian martial warrior a year ago. To put it bluntly, even 1,000 Yang Dingtians wouldn't be able to defeat a single Song Yu. 100 Yang Dingtian added together could only be killed by Song Yu in one move. Give up, kid. Elder Wu Yan sneered and said, 10 of you added together can't even compare to one finger of Song Yu. Stay obediently and be a servant. Don't embarrass yourself. Yan Yan looked at Yang Dingtian and said timidly, Brother Tian, what is your cultivation level now? Yang Dingtian said, 6-star martial ancestor. What? Yan Yan's beautiful eyes widened as she looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. Impossible. Elder Wu Yan screamed and rushed in. She pointed at Yang Dingtian and said, impossible. It's only been a year and you've broken through from a 3-star Xian martial warrior to a 6-star martial ancestor. Even an immortal can't do that. You're bragging too much. Although Elder Wu Yan was a grandmaster, she didn't have the demeanor of a grandmaster. She had always been straightforward. Yang Dingtian just smiled and did not explain. Elder Wu Yan did not believe him. She went up and grabbed Yang Dingtian's hand and inserted a stream of Xian Qi to check. After a few minutes, Elder Wu Yan looked at Yang Dingtian in shock. He was really a 6-star martial ancestor and was only half a level away from becoming a 7-star martial ancestor. This is truly unprecedented, and will never be replicated in the future. Yang Dingtian, who she called a piece of trash, had completely broken the record of thousands of years. This kind of cultivation progress was completely shocking. Are you a man or a ghost? Elder Wu Yan stared at Yang Dingtian and murmured. Then she sighed and said, but you're barely worthy of my little girl. It's not a disgrace to her. Grandma, don't be mistaken. I'm my husband's little girl first, and then I'm your little girl, Yan Yan said. This sentence made Elder Wu Yan jump up and down. She said hatefully, you heartless little girl. I've been so good to you for a year. You have no conscience, no conscience. Yan Yan looked at Elder Wu Yan and said in a sweet voice, Grandma, in my heart, you're my grandmother. My father has never told me about his family. You're not really my grandmother, are you? Is my father your illegitimate child? Hearing Yan Yan's sweet voice and flattering eyes, Elder Wu Yan's heart was about to explode. But when he heard her words, he immediately blushed and said, Nonsense, nonsense. I look down on men the most in my life. None of them are promising. I've kept my chastity my whole life. How could I have an illegitimate child? Don't talk nonsense. Anyway, I don't care. I'll treat you as my grandmother. Yan Yan said, if I'm your granddaughter, then Yang Dingtian is your grandson-in-law. We're family. Why don't you help him? I only have you in my heart, you heartless thing. Yang Dingtian's life or death has nothing to do with me. Elder Wu Yan said. After speaking, Elder Wu Yan looked at Yang Dingtian and said with a serious face, Boy, I admit that your talent is unparalleled. But you should give up on fighting Song Yu. He's a 6-star revered martial artist. You're a 6-star martial ancestor. If you're a martial artist below the great mystic martial master, it's not strange for you to defeat an opponent that's one stage higher with your amazing talent and cultivation. But in a fight between martial artists above the martial mystic martial artist level, it's impossible to defeat an opponent that's one stage higher. But my husband's talent is unparalleled. He might be able to do it. Yan Yan said. The current me is definitely unable to do it. Yang Dingtian said, I've fought with Dugu Fengwu before. I don't know why, but her cultivation seemed to have weakened a lot. Therefore, she's not as good as Song Yu. But in front of her, I don't have the slightest ability to fight back. She can kill me at any time. At least you still have some rationality. Elder Wu Yan said, so boy, you should stay in my Wu Yan Island and don't go out. Live a loving life with Yan Yan, this heartless little thing. I have everything here. In 1 or 2 years, you'll be able to defeat Song Yu. At that time, take Yan Yan and leave this place. You might even have a baby by then. Once these words were said, Yan Yan's beautiful eyes suddenly became misty. She was really looking forward to it. Then Yan Yan said, but Grandma, they only gave my husband 3 days. After 3 days, even if they don't fight with Song Yu, they will destroy my husband's martial arts and make him a servant. Are you treating me as if I don't exist? Elder Wu Yan said, I don't like to meddle in things, and I'm not willing to provoke people from other islands in the Netherworld Sea. But no one is to provoke me. Yang Dingtian is staying on my island. I'll see who dares to take him away. This old one might not be the strongest in the Netherworld Sea, but I'm still a great grandmaster. I'm not someone that anyone can provoke. Elder Wu Yan's words were filled with dominance. But Yang Dingtian didn't doubt her words. He didn't expect this Elder Wu Yan to be half a great grandmaster. It seemed that the strength of the Netherworld Sea was far beyond his imagination. I'm very grateful for Grandma's kindness, Yang Dingtian said, but I must go out. and I must go out in 3 days. Because the day of the martial arts competition for the position of the City Lord of Cloud Sky City is coming. If I miss it, then I won't have the chance to take back Cloud Sky City that belongs to Uncle Shiman. Cloud Sky City will completely fall into the hands of the Northwest Qin City. Humph. Seeing that her kindness was swept away, Elder Wuyan was furious. She snorted and said, "If you want to die, then go yourself." Yang Dingtian looked at Elder Wuyan and said, "If I can break through to Martial Honorable in 3 days, then I'm confident that I can break through Song Yu's defense and take Yan Yan out of the Netherworld Sea." 3 days? Break through to Martial Honorable? Elder Wuyan looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. "Yang Dingtian, are you daydreaming? Are you talking in your sleep?" "Yang Dingtian, I've heard a lot about you." Elder Wuyan continued, "You once used extraordinary means to break through many times. But that was in the past. For powerhouses above the martial ancestor realm, every breakthrough was a painstaking accumulation. Every breakthrough was as difficult as nirvana. Breaking through to Martial Honorable in 3 days is not only a dream, but it's also disrespectful to martial arts. Do you understand?" Yang Dingtian's face suddenly became hot. Elder Wuyan's words had indeed pierced his heart. Along the way, his cultivation had broken through.